Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back with another interesting topic in Vedic astrology today. And today we'll be talking about the planet Moon and what Moon stands for. What are the qualities of Moon, and how do you deal with people who are dominated by the Moon, who are influenced by the Moon? So, we could have relationships which we do not choose, which can come to us by default, such as, we could have a son, a brother, a father, a mother, an uncle, whatever the relationship, a boss, related to work, and also, of course, a spouse. So, which we, of course, choose our spouses, so as to say, but there are certain relationships which we cannot choose. They come to us automatically by default. So it is very important to know the characteristics of people who are influenced by Moon, so that you can build strong relationships with them. You can deal with them better. So today we'll be talking about people who are Moon dominated. So going back to what Moon stands for is as opposed to the planet Sun, which we discussed in our earlier video. Moon is more like a Kapha temperament, okay? Like we discussed, that Sun is more of Pitta and fire. Moon is just the opposite. It's a Kapha, calm, watery temperament, which Moon has. And the speech of Moon has been described, and of course, by the way, this is coming, again, I keep repeating, this is coming from the ancient scriptures. This is not out of any experience of any astrologer, modern day astrologer. So please have firm faith and belief in it, because the sages cannot be wrong, the scriptures cannot be wrong. So Moon has been described as a Kapha temperament, a watery temperament, and is given to not focused. It sometimes can wander, can be leisurely, and it can be wander from its goals and objectives, and sometimes it can be aimless as well. So that's the characteristic of Moon. So why we need to know the quality of Moon is that if we don't have a birth chart of somebody whom you're in relationship with, like I said, it could be any relationship related to work, related to family, your own spouse, and you do not have the birth details of that person. So how do you figure out that what kind of a person he is? And in case he is dominated by Moon, which we are discussing today, you can deal with him accordingly. Like, for example, if somebody is a fire element, like a Sun, and of course, once we confirm it through the birth chart, and sometimes we may not be able to confirm it through his birth chart, but if we have come to a conclusion that he is a fire element, and you start dealing with him differently, if you start being casual with him and being leisurely with him, just like the Moon is aimless with him, you're not going to build strong relationships with him, because he is about focus, he's about energy, he is about ambition, and Moon is not. Moon is aimless, Moon is casual, Moon is watery, Moon has a very sweet speech. So that's the reason why we need to understand. And how we can understand is by looking at the person, his behavior, his temperament, and then we can figure out as to what planet he's dominated or influenced by. And later on you can confirm it through the birth chart as well. And what Moon has been described is his speech is soft, along with what we discussed about watery and aimless and casual attitude. He has been described as a person who's got fine eyes. Now there's a slight distinction here. With Sun, we discussed that he has eyes which are bright, okay, and as bright as wine. So you can imagine looking at wine, and that's the kind of the shade or the kind of eyes he'll have. Here the eyes are going to be soft and casual and watery. So there's a slight difference here. So you can understand that's based on the behavior pattern as has been described in the ancient scriptures. His limbs have been described as firm. And by the way, how do you see that a person could be influenced by a planet through the lagna or the ascendant? He could be influenced by the planet through the moon sign. He could be influenced to some extent by the sun sign as well, because there is a concept in Vedic astrology where we see a person's chart based on a Sudarshan chakra, and Sudarshan chakra is pretty much, you look at the lagna, look at the moon chart, look at the sun chart, and try to combine it. It could be based on some planets who are aspecting or who are conjunct the lagna or placed in the lagna. So there's a difference between the lagnesh, who's the lord of the lagna or the lord of the ascendant, or planets placed in the lagna which are influencing the lagna, which are influencing the person, which the planets placed in the ascendant could be influencing, but the lagna lord or the ascendant lord could be different. So there are different ways of trying to figure out as to what planet is influencing a person. It could be through the lord of the nakshatra, where his moon is placed at the time of birth. That planet may be influencing as well. So before coming to a conclusion, you have to take all factors into consideration. And of course, the initial description and the qualities of the planets which we are discussing, in this case we're discussing moon, will come as an initial, once you have an initial contact with the person, or if you've had contact because of a relationship with them, you're trying to analyze it based on some initial basic qualities and tendencies. So again, moon is described as a soft person, a casual approach, an aimless approach, very sweet, soft in his speech, and has been described as discriminating as well. Okay, so moon has this quality. It's sattvic planet. It has been given this quality of being able to discriminate between what is right and what is wrong. So he has this power which has been given to him by God. So the person who's influenced by moon will have this quality as well. And of course, having fine eyes, which I've just explained to you how the differences between the fine eyes of moon dominated with the bright eyes of the sun dominated. That difference is there. He has fine eyes, watery, limbs are firm, and very beautiful limbs. So people who are dominated by moon, you'll see, have beautiful limbs. So here it gives you a clue as to, once you have the first contact with a person, you look at these characteristics and come to some kind of an idea as to whether this person is influenced by moon or not. And if he is, you're gonna kind of go into more details. If you can get a hold of his birth chart, you can confirm that and then deal with him accordingly. Okay, he's a very sensible planet. He's not gonna be, rowdy and rough, and of course he's very emotional as well, so very moody as well. But regardless of the fact that he may be moody and emotional, he'll come across in a very sensible fashion. He could not be described as somebody like a Mars, who can get overly angry and ambitious and aggressive. So he'll always come across as very sensible. Generally, people who are influenced by the planet moon have a slim figure, but kind of roundish, with nice, beautiful limbs. So they'll be petite in case of a woman, and they'll be slim in case of a man, with roundish limbs, with nice eyes, soft in the speech, discriminating, a little aimless and casual, but very sensible, having roundish limbs. So that's the basic characteristics of people who are influenced by moon. So in a birth chart, once you get to know the initial initial characteristics, or if you've come to some kind of an idea of the initial temperament and characteristics of people who are dominated by moon or influenced by moon, you try to get into further details as to what the birth chart says. And we know, as per the ancient scriptures, once again, this is coming directly from the ancient scriptures, moon will be very strong when it's in Cancer. It'll be very strong once again when it's in Taurus, because it gets exalted in Taurus, and it gets very strong in its weekday. So people who are influenced by or dominated by the planet moon will come out in their best characteristics on Monday, which is the day ruled by moon. Okay, and in his Drakana or Drakana or Drakarna, as it's called in Sanskrit, he is very strong as well. In his Hora, very strong. So try to imagine, during any day, every planet has been given an hour where he rules over that hour. That's Hora. He'll be very strong. And on a Monday, he'll be even stronger. So moon on a Monday, on a Hora of moon, will be very, very strong. So that person will come out with these qualities which we have just discussed very strongly during that day. And of course, we have discussed as to when it gets strength in a zodiac sign, which is Cancer and Taurus. So you can confirm that through the birth chart. And then once it's confirmed, once again, you can deal with him accordingly. Don't try to be, very aggressive and very ambitious. He's more, casual, poetic. He like poetry, he like music, he like the fine things in life. He rules over liquids. So, he'll enjoy nice, beautiful liquids. Could be wines or could be any kind of liquids. He's going to be fond of them. He will have compassion. He generally comes across, or not generally, as per the ancient scriptures, he'll be very compassionate and he will try to help others. He's a very, very sattvic planet with a power of discrimination, what is right and what is wrong. Okay, so, and he'll be very sensible, will come across, very nice and very sensible in front of people, in spite of the fact that he may be down because moon has the waxing and the waning cycle, so he may be down during when the moon is not strong, so he may be slightly moody, but then still he'll come across very, very sensible. And generally at night, moon is a night planet. That's when also he'll come across very strongly. So people will excel. People who are dominated by moon or influenced by moon will excel during nighttime, because moon rules over the night, and moon gets very strong over the night. And of course, if moon is influencing him and it's a waning cycle, and then it could be the reverse. But they'll come out in their most beautiful, poetic, casual, enjoyable temperament, mostly very strongly. His compassionate self very strongly at night, because it rules over the night. In the 4th house, when moon is in the 4th house in his birth chart, that also can explain that it's very, very strong. Whether the 4th house is a natural zodiac sign for Cancer in the Kala Purusha Kundali. So even if it's not the zodiac sign of Cancer, moon placed there, any zodiac sign will be very, very strong. Now you're looking at the basic birth chart, but also look at the transits happening. So look at the transits which are happening from the moon sign and from the Lagna both, and see how moon is placed based on the moon sign and the Lagna, and also what nakshatra it's transiting at. So that also will make a determination as to whether moon is strong or not at that time, and how to deal with that person during those times. If you're doing a complete analysis, if you have the birth details as to, you'll deal with him accordingly, whether the moon is waning or waxing, whether he's in a depressed mood or whether he's in a very cheerful, bright mood in his full qualities, what nakshatra moon is transiting in, what zodiac sign the moon transiting in, what house moon is transiting in, what other planets are aspecting him, what planets are conjunct to him. All these factors have to be taken into consideration before trying to figure out how to deal with that person or not. Generally, moon is very strong in these positions which we have just discussed. However, if you refer to my earlier video on Gandanta or Gandamula Nakshatra, there are certain junctions where moon does not get happy, because those junctions could be the junctions of we discussed there are 6 positions when moon can get into some kind of a conflict with the lord of the nakshatras which it's transiting in. Okay, so that forms the Gandamula nakshatra, and there are junctions in Ashlesha, Jyeshtha and Revati conjunctions. Those are the nakshatras. When it gets into the junctions of those, it becomes very weak because of the conflict between the zodiac signs. Could be a conflict between fire and water element conflict, or even the lords of those nakshatras. So during the last padas and the first padas of those nakshatras, those are positions when Gandanta forms, or that junction forms when moon is a little weak. So be careful at those times when it's transiting those nakshatras especially. And then of course, if you look at it from the birth chart point of view, whether the child or that person has been born in Gandanta or not, or that junction or not, which is inauspicious, then many of those positive qualities of moon can be severely affected, and that could affect him, and that could affect your behavior and relationship with that person who is moon dominated. Yes, but yet it could be in a situation of a Gandanta, or being aspected by malefics, or being in bad houses, or being in conjunction with other malefic planets. So all these factors have to be taken into consideration, but these are very detailed tools as to what a moon dominated person is going to be like, his looks, his behavior, his temperament, so that you can understand him better and deal with him accordingly. And Jyotish, or astrology, or Vedic astrology, has provided us this great tool to be able to do that. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. In the meanwhile, I will recommend subscribe to my channel and check out my website. There is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic on Vedic astrology very soon. Goodbye.